Hey, this is Clara Lawrence. We're doing another alcohol ink basics. This one is creating roses. So hang on tight and let's see how this goes.
Howdy, y'all. Today we're going to do some more alcohol ink basics, and I'm going to do roses. So roses are very similar to circles, but for me the difference is about hesitation. It all starts with a little puddle of alcohol and a couple drops of color, and then like the circles, you're moving your air source around your ink. So you're corralling your ink and moving it around. And like I was talking about before, it's kind of like if you think of it in two different ways, like sheepdogs and sheeps. Okay, so the dogs and the sheep, we'll just keep it simple like that. So when they're herding the sheep around, they're putting pressure on it, the sheep go in the opposite direction. So with the air going this way, the ink moves to the opposite direction. So you'll see it gather or pool over here. And if you keep your heat source here, you end up with a little ridge of dried ink. And if you keep the heat on, then eventually the area itself gets dried. So when you start to move your heat source around, the ink will travel around too. So it deposits these little lines everywhere. And if you pause for a little bit, it'll deposit a little bit more in one area, move around, deposit a little bit more around here. You see what I'm getting at? Where pause, deposits more. So you end up with more of a petal type of a look. It's still basically the circle, but you'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. And I kind of brought the camera out quite a bit because I'm gonna have to move my dryer around quite a bit, and I tried this before and I had the camera rather close and I kept bumping into the camera a bunch. So we're gonna try to do this a little bit better. I may go by the stand because if you see my hand here, I start bumping the stand pretty easy. So we'll see how this works. And if I do bump, apologies. I will keep moving though, not to worry. Anyway, so I'm gonna zoom you guys in to get a close look at what I'm doing. You're probably not gonna see too much of the air moving around because I might be out of the frame, but you'll see what's going on with the ink and how it's moving to one location or the other, and it moves as I'm putting the air in the opposite direction. So, quit talking, and now let's get busy. So, first thing we do, take the lids off the inks. Haha. That just makes it a little bit easier to deal with. And when I try to be very specific about where I want to put my alcohol, I end up using these little guys here because of the fine point. It just gives me a little control. I realize this is one of those things where there's not a lot of control. You know, it's kind of loose control, but you know, it helps. Anyway, so let me see if I can do this. I'm gonna put one of these guys in here and zoom in. Maybe not quite so much. And that way I know where to put the alcohol and get started. Okay. All right, here we go. So I'm just gonna do about 3 drops of ink, and actually I'm doing quite a bit of puddle. I could have done the other alcohol, but that's all right. And I'm using 91% alcohol, 1 drop of that. So I'm using a very vibrant pink, an orange, and a pale pink. I've actually got roses that are kind of this color combination. Okay, so needless to say, when you start doing videos, it's when your son calls from college. Yes, I always pick up the phone. Sorry. So we're gonna start getting the dogs to play with the sheep. And we're gonna start corralling the sheep. You see, you might see me occasionally move the dryer around. And I'm gonna start. Okay, I'm gonna give this another try and see if we can succeed. Okay, so the phone started ringing. I had to finish this out because it was already liquid, so we're gonna give it another try. And I'm gonna shift this up so that, let me bring you in a little bit so you can see how it turned out. There. And I'm gonna try and do the same thing off to the side. Here. Right there. All right, so a little bit of alcohol here. I'll do a drop of orange, and it's gonna pick up some of this pink here. Try one more right in this zone here. And it wants to run that way. Bring you in for a close-up. Okay, I'm using the Yupo Heavy, so it may give a little bit of warp, but when it cools off, it'll flatten out nicely. I did a piece earlier that had a lot of ink on it. And let me show you how that turned out. So the less ink you have on the page, the softer your edges are. Different effect.
I'm still waiting for the answers to the universe, waiting for someone to wake me up, tell me that this is all just a dream. I'm still waiting for a different sign, waiting for someone to take me away, get these thoughts off my mind. As I wait, thinking of you, hoping that you are thinking of me too. I cannot sleep without you by me, and I miss you, I miss you, I miss you. That is why I've been waiting for someone like you. That is why I've been waiting for someone like you. Still waiting for your witty replies, waiting for your touch and kiss. I can't get you off my mind. I am trying to live another day
You ever have one of those days where you try to do something and a million different things happen that kind of interfere with that? Well, I try and do this video and I got a whole bunch of phone calls. So not just Mikey, but Mikey like about 2 or 3 times. And then my husband's got a notification thing at the front gate. So when that goes off and the dogs bark and then the phone turns off, and that happened a couple times, and like it finally gets to the point of like, forget it, I'm just gonna have some fun, create some art, because apparently I'm not gonna video. And then even trying to video just me goofing off and creating this from the rose piece I started, it interrupted a few times. So I'm gonna include part of it that's in this, but anyway. So I just went ahead and just had fun and finished it out just for me. So do me a favor and hit the like button if you enjoy the chaos of this video. And hopefully you did. Then hit the subscribe button, but definitely hit the bell to get notified the next time some shenanigans goes up. Later.